I'm planning to stay dry if I can, but yeah, it's a big series coming up. We're excited for it. Obviously, our work's cut out ahead of us. With UCLA sweeping Washington last week, we know that we have to, at least win this series, and then do what we can from that point on.
You expect Washington to be a little bit more upset though coming into this one after getting swept against UCLA?
Well, I mean, we can't control what they're going to do. We can control what we're going to do, and if we play like we did against Oklahoma, it should be a really good series. I think both teams obviously have very good pitching, 2 deep, even 3 deep. They have a lot of speed, and we have some speed and more power, I think. But obviously, and they're great defensively. I think that's the strength of that team is they really play some pretty good infield and good outfield positioning.
I know this series means a lot for this season, but what happened last year between these two teams? You went 1-3 last year, including that loss in the World Series. Does that add anything to your team?
Yeah, I think that it was a tough one to lose the series at home here when we had 2-0, 2-run lead coming into the 7th. We let that one get away, and eventually it ended up costing us it. But you don't know at the time what it would cost. But obviously, in the World Series, we didn't play very well against them, and they kind of dominated us in that game. And I'd like to see a different result this year, for sure.
Being a pitcher yourself, do you kind of get excited when you see this matchup where it's 4 of the best pitchers in the country going head-to-head?
Yeah, it really is. It is very exciting. Obviously, it could be a prelude to maybe super regional. You never know when they're going to match people up, or even a World Series. I'm sure that going into the supers, if those Pac-12 teams happen to win their regions, there could be some matchups, and you don't know what's going to happen there either. So, but it is exciting. Obviously, this game is dominated by pitching, and the Pac-12 has some very good pitching.
You guys have got to the point with your program where your goals are on a national level. What does a conference title mean to you guys? What kind of a carrot is that to you guys at this point?
Well, I think it is a big carrot. I mean, obviously, especially when you look at who's in the conference, some of the biggest names in softball, UCLA, Arizona, obviously, they've got the most national championships still. So to say you're champion of that conference, I think it says a lot, and to have done it 5 out of 6 years would be tremendous.
You guys have done really well against top 10 RPI teams this season. Where do you think that comes from?
Well, obviously pitching. We keep the runs down against us, and we find ways to score runs. Obviously, we're a bit of a hot and cold type team. When we hit well, like we did against Oklahoma, it looks pretty good, and then other times we struggle. So, but we're not the only one on that boat either. Like I said, good pitching tends to beat good hitting. It quietens it down at least. But I think that with our pitching, we were able to stay on a lot of games.
Obviously, you guys did pretty well against UCLA earlier this year, and they just come off that sweep over UW. How are they different though than maybe Washington, just as far as what they do well?
Well, I think UCLA is the best hitting team in the country. And obviously we haven't played every team. We haven't played Florida or Alabama or any of those other teams. But just by looking at their numbers, and we've got Jelinek back now, is another kid that actually didn't play against us and hit a home run against Washington. So they're extremely deep. They've got a good blend of power and speed in there. Just a very difficult team. And of course, when Garcia's out there throwing, she's as good as anybody in the country. And I think UCLA's only weakness, if you could call it that, would be they're not quite as deep in the pitching.
How much do you watch of that UCLA-Washington series and see what the Bruins did against the Huskies in terms of trying to prepare for them?
I haven't looked at a whole lot just right now. I've been trying to focus on getting our pitchers ready and getting our team ready. Obviously, we know Albello from last year. Gaby Plain's the other one we've got to try and figure out. They're actually two kind of polar opposites. With Albello, you're going to get a lot of velocity, a lot of up balls, curves and rise balls. And a very good changeup, and so you're sitting on 70 mile an hour, and that's pretty good gas. Then you have Gaby Plain, who's going to mix in 2 or 3 different speeds with a curveball and a drop and a really good changeup, and she kind of makes you fish a little bit. So that's someone we have to be patient against. Albello we have to go get. Plain we have to be a little more patient. So it's going to be a matter of can we switch gears between those 2 games to be able to take advantage of that quickly.
This is the last top 10 team you have on your regular season schedule. Is there any sense of fatigue after all the top 10 teams you played recently, or is the fact that this is such an important series going to take over that aspect?
I think it's just what you said there. So it's a series. I mean, this is what you play for, is this time of year, and I think we're excited to be in this time of year. I know Jenna Lilly's going to, I call her Miss May. She's going to turn up in May, and it's almost May, not quite, but she does tend to turn up in the postseason. And I'm excited to see how we'll do. I think that Gwen Savekas, Lauren Linville, the seniors, they've got a lot to play for. They've got to try and get another trip to the World Series, and that would be great if we can do that.
Going back to Jenna, her, Gwen, and DJ all got drafted. What does it mean as your coach or as the coach to see them move on like that?
Well, I think it's exciting for the sport, and to see our players progress to that next level. I also love seeing them make national teams, and there's a lot more interest now in national teams. We have Kylie Cuico playing for the Philippines, and Haley Decker is another one, and so hopefully there's some opportunities there for those players to go on. Jenna Lilly's on the squad. Along with Megan Kleist as well and Gwen Savekas, so it's fun to see them just get to that next level and keep playing because I think they've got a lot to offer, not only to the fans but also to young players.
That brings the total of players that have been drafted to the NPF to 12 out of 15 of the program under you since 2010. What do you think that says about your impact on the program here?
Well, they must like it. I suppose, if they didn't like playing softball, they wouldn't do it. And I think that's it. It is, first and foremost, is to get a degree. Just to use softball, be able to get yourself a degree, and so you have something behind you, and then set yourself up, and then hopefully go on and enjoy a little bit before you get into the workforce and do your career. And the other thing we like is I like seeing them moving into the coaching ranks, and I think you'll find that a lot of our players are moving on to be coaches and giving back that way. And I think that's important as well. Not only, that as well.
How close are you able to replicate the Washington pitchers when you're throwing?
I'm trying as best as I can, but it's getting harder to get it up towards 70. But maybe I get a little bit closer. But I am trying to throw some things that Taryn throws. And not so much Gabby playing, but definitely Taryn. Trying to get a little more velocity in there, a little more up stuff, and a good changeup. And we'll test them again today.
Thanks, Coach.
Great. Thank you.